Pretend you're writing software for a paint company where each paint color has a numeric code. If we want, we can store color codes as integer data types. But you know, an integer can store values from negative 2.1 billion to positive 2.1 billion. It's a new company that only supports 4 colors. 1 is red, 2 is blue, 3 is green, and 4 is yellow. So if we decided to use an integer variable, somebody could accidentally use 5, 10, or even 30,000 as a color code. These unused values can mess up the company's system with an unfillable order. So what we need is an integer data type to store only a limited set of values, and the user can only choose from these limited values when assigning a color to a variable. The enumeration or enum type supports this kind of behavior, where we can create an integer-like data type with a limited set of allowed values. The enum type also provides the user friendly labels for the values like red, blue, green, or yellow, so they don't have to memorize if it's 1, 2, 3, or 4. Now, just like we did with structures, the enum type will be defined inside of the namespace, not inside of another class. Once the enum called color code exists, we can declare it. To declare a variable of this type color code, we can follow the same approach like any other variable declaration. Declare a variable of enum type, in this case it's color code, within the main method and assign a color. Here, we assigned it green, which has a value of 3. This will be assigned to the variable. Create a console application and call it Color Codes. Go File, New Project, name it as Color Codes, and name it in the proper folder, and click OK. In the namespace right above the program class, let's create an enum. Type enum, and the name of this enum will be Color Code. We will put 4 choices for colors. The first one will be red, which is equal to 1. And then we separate each choice with a comma. The second choice is blue, which is equal to 2. And the third choice will be green, which has a value of 3. And then yellow, which has a value of 4. Let's declare a variable of type color code in the main method. We can follow the same approach like any other variable. Type color code, which is the type, and we'll name it as myColor, and we'll say it's equal to colorcode.green. End the statement with a semicolon. Now the best part about enumeration is nobody has to memorize what the color codes are, because you can assign it with the friendly names like red and green. Let's write this out to the console with a console writeline. Console.writeline. In the double quotes inside the parentheses, we'll say selected color is, and then we'll use the variable placeholder. What will we feed in there? The myColor variable. End this statement with a semicolon. Now, let's make sure the program doesn't run too fast, so we end it with the last statement being a console.read key. Let's run and test this code. Notice it says, selected color is green. When we define an enumeration type, by default it becomes an integer type enum. Our color code enum could also have been written the following way explicitly. Here we have mentioned the underlying data type for the enum as being an int. But if we don't specify, the enum chooses the underlying data type to be an integer. So these two pieces of code are doing the exact same thing. Since our color code enum contains only 4 values, defining it with the underlying int type, which holds up to 2.1 billion negative and positive, could be a little bit of waste of resources. Let's say we will never have more than 100 colors. A byte can hold 256 combinations. We should define our color code with byte as the underlying data type seen in this code. Now, if a customer chose green, and they were curious, what color number is that? How would we show that? We can see this, but we're the programmer. how do we write it out in the main and show what color green is? Well, let's put another console.writeLine that says your color of variable placeholder is number, and then put in a second variable placeholder. And we want it to display like this. So we're going to feed it my color for the first variable, and we're going to put 3 in as the second placeholder. Although that's not very smart, it's hard-coded, so it will always say 3. But in this instance, it works. It says your color of green is number 3. And that is correct, but we got lucky. Because if we change this to yellow, it should be 4. But as we run the program, it says 3. It's always going to answer 3. So let's change this back to green. And let's put my color in the second variable placeholder. And we know somewhere in this variable is a green and a 3. And if we don't specify, we just get green. So this says your color of green is number green. Well, we want to pull out the integer from the color. So we're going to do what's known as typecasting, which we'll go into much more detail later in the book. But let's run this. And it says green is number 3. And if we change to yellow, then it would say yellow is number 4. Let's change back to green. And let's get rid of all of these other numbers that assigned it in the enum. But we will leave red equals to 1 as the starting seed point. Now, these enums are going to count for you. So in this case, if red is 1, blue will be 2, green will be 3, and yellow will be 4. Let's start this, and notice, yes, it's 3. What if we started red at 0, and then we run it? Now green is number 2. It's the third one, but starting ordinally at 0. But what if we said red is 51? Now green is 53. If a customer wanted 2 colors, we could do this by declaring 2 enums, or we can allow one enum to handle 2 choices. Oftentimes, we want to be able to make more than one choice. If asked, what are my days off, I might say Tuesday and Thursday, but you might say Saturday and Sunday. You can use the flags attribute to make this possible. To show how this works, let's create a new console application. And let's call this Vacation Days. In the namespace above the class, let's create the enum for days. Enum, days, and let's put Sunday as the first choice, Monday as the second choice, and you can probably guess what all the other choices are. Excellent. Now, let's go to our main and let's say, I would like Tuesday and Thursday off. So I'll say days, choice 1 equals days dot Tuesday. And days choice 2 is equal to days dot Thursday. Now let's print that to the console. Console, writeLine. And let's put in 2 variable placeholders, one for each of the enumerations. And we'll put in choice 1 and choice 2. And let's pause it at the end with the console.read key. Let's run that. And we see Tuesday and Thursday. But there's a much better way to store these multiple choices by defining a special type of enum where we can have an and or an or choice built in. Let's change the enum to have the flags parameter. Above it, put a square bracket and type capital F and then LAGS and end with another square bracket. Now, let's Sunday to be equal to 1. Let's set Monday to be equal to 2. And let's set Tuesday to be equal to 4. So we're going to double for each choice. So Wednesday is 8, Thursday is 16, Friday is worth 32, and Saturday is worth 64. Now let's go change what happens in our main. Instead of having choice 1 and choice 2, we're just going to have choice. And we're going to say it's equal to Tuesday or Thursday. Now our right line can be simplified. We'll just say console right line and pull out the choice. We only need one variable placeholder. Let's run this. Look, it says Tuesday and Thursday. Time for Lab 3.2, Skill Check 1. Take a moment to pause this video and challenge yourself to do this skill check. Skill Check 2. Take a moment to pause this video and challenge yourself to do this skill check. That will do it for Lab 3.2 on enumerations. Our next item, Lab 4.1, casting data types.